IMI Kolkata is one of the three chapters of IMI, which is IMI Delhi being India's first corporate-sponsored business school. Now, IMI Delhi has been there last 39 years. The Kolkata campus in Alipur came up later in 2011. So, going forward this year, we will be actually admitting our 10th batch of students. And IMI Kolkata is also promoted by the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group that has diversified businesses in power, retail, IT-enabled services, FMCG, media, entertainment, etc. So the objective of IMI Kolkata is to promote opportunities for students so that they can learn, grow, and most importantly, develop their skill sets, multiple skill sets across the various disciplines of management. Now, especially so in the current pandemic times, VUCA world, we all have, used that term quite often, VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. But currently, this is it. This year is that very year. So the idea is to train students, to enable students to be innovative. How do we do that? So there will be the technical skill sets. Yes, no substitute there. But apart from that, we're also developing the capabilities like problem-solving skills in complex situations, design thinking. We tell students, think out of the box. But if we note this year particularly, there is no box. So the idea is you have to first define the box, the parameters that as a business you're going to work in, and thereafter how you're going to map your way forward. So apart from that, we're looking at developing critical soft skill sets, judgment, persuasion, communication skill sets. I mean, there is never any substitute of that, as well as emotional intelligence. So in short, it would be about developing managers with a mindset of social responsibility. When we started in the East, there were not too many B schools, private B schools, which were in this space. So we are talking about accreditations. Well, our program is AICTE approved, and the PGDM has been accredited by NBA since 2016. The Association of Indian Universities has also accorded the program equivalence to MBA. And well, the NIRF rankings, you've already known about that. Yes, we are among the top 100 institutes. And last week or a fortnight back, I was going through that Outlook B School rankings from iCare for India's Best Schools 21. And I noted that we have been ranked 4th as a private B schools in the East Zone, then 8th as private standalone institutions, and 18th as private MBA institutions in India. So yes, it has been a serious industry focus. Number one point to that. Number two, hand-holding, mentoring the students. So apart from academics and their career focus, the faculty come in as mentors and guiding them through their career aspirations. And number three, it would be about looking at the holistic growth, where you get into different kinds of clubs, activities. You're given a free hand to explore and try out. Of course, there will be failures. That goes, without saying. You don't expect to start on something and, bang on, you'll be successful the first time. But we encourage that as long as, it's on the right track. And students are looking at, overcoming the obstacles. Yes, we encourage our students to try, fail, and ultimately succeed. So when I'm talking about, the admission process, typically we have a thorough check of the candidate's background, which would mean a lot of emphasis on the class 10, class 12, and graduation results, institutions from which they have come from, the background. So all of these are the parameters that are factored in. The scores I've already mentioned, the profiles the exam profiles that we take into consideration, CAT, SAT, GMAT, CMAT, MAT exams. Yes, and at this point of time, we have also been looking at the profiles of students, what is their background, what kind of jobs, if they have work experience, they have been engaged in, some social entrepreneur or working with NGOs, those would be, again, some profiles. Or have they been players, academicians of merit? When I say players, have they played at the district level, at the state level? Have they represented their institutions? Are they from the artistic background? Have they played music, performed in arts? Obviously, we're looking at some district or state level affiliations for these profiles. On the interview parameters, we have the essay writing, which is basically to look at the candidate's written communication skill set. And when I am talking about written communication, I'm not looking at any statistical infusion of data, while that obviously improves the quality. But here, the idea is to check whether they are coherent in their writing and their explanations, meaning, do they freely communicate? Does it come out clearly? What is there in their mind? Is it free from grammatical errors, spelling mistakes? So those are what we check when we look at the written communication skills. Then we have the psychometric. Psychometric is not an elimination per se. Here, what we look at is how attuned is the candidate to a B-school setup, because opportunities will be there. Are you open to learning, relearning? Perhaps you know something and you have to maybe go back on it and a few notches and relearn it all over again. So do you have a positivity based attitude? So that is what psychometry does. Basically, it maps the candidate to our PGDM program. What is the goodness of it? Yes. And verbal communication, well, that is the interviews which we have been doing. And at this point of time, we're still looking at interviews on Skype or online interviews. Should physical interviews not be a possibility this year? So again, here, what are we predominantly gauging? That is the students, technical questions will be there, some kind of technical competency, that is the base. But apart from that, we're looking at the attitude of the candidate. And end of the day, if I have to boil it down to one single criteria, it would be, are they willing to push themselves? Given the opportunity, how far are they willing to push themselves to go ahead and grab the opportunities and make the most of opportunities? So if we think a student qualifies on that parameter, well, we pass out the offers. The students who actually come into our campus, for the last 2 to 3 years, we've been monitoring them, and they have been from 18, 19 states, pan-India. And we have a 40% women base of students. If we are talking of geographical diversity, yes, we do have a greater percentage of students from East and from the North. If I am to add on to it, well, 70% of our students are freshers and 30% with work experience. And we also look at profile-based admission. So which means apart from the typical mandatory CAT, SAT, GMAT, and CMAT math scores, we are also looking at candidates who with good background, be it work experience or institutions they have been associated with. 35% engineers, and we could say these are approximations on any given year, 65% non-engineers. If I'm talking about the non-engineers, they would be BCom graduates, some from arts, economics, some from law, and a couple of them would also be from the liberal arts areas. Yes. And if we're looking at, the profiles of students who walk in, typically what do they expect when they are coming into IMI Kolkata? They are looking at good jobs in marketing profiles. And thereafter, it would be perhaps finance, IT, operations, etc. So it's the value for money, that notion that works predominantly in the students' mindset. And that is where we try and fit in and ensure our USPs. At this point of time, there are companies that who have been our recruiters for a pretty long time, and they are still showing interest in IMI Kolkata. Well, the BFSI sector is still recruiting heavily, and we do have, companies like ICICI Bank, IDFC First, Bajaj Alliance, HDFC. So they are still looking at hiring in numbers. Then again, market research organizations like Global Data, consulting companies, Deloitte, PwC, TCS in the tax, assurance, or advisory roles. Yes, they are still hiring. What has happened is the process has got offset by a couple of months. So what would usually start in August? Well, it's October. That if you ask me what has been the shift, well, apart from that, profile-based, I would say FMCGs, they are hiring very cautious. So while we did have companies like Activities, etc., who have shown interest coming to campus this particular year, they are hiring very cautiously at this point of time. But JSW, our biggest recruiter, highest package, JSW, yes, they have still expressed their intent for this particular year. And so live projects also are coming in, and this time the live projects are for 2 to 3 months. It's not anything less than 2 months we have not yet got from companies. So they're looking at dedicated projects, be it Deloitte or McVitie's or digital marketing companies like PR365. So or even social ventures NGOs. So they have come up with these live projects also. So in essence, what we see is, students have this question, what are the companies that are coming? So I've just, given a snapshot of the companies that are there already on campus. And the second question that comes to the mind is, how is the institute preparing me to be job ready? Where will this institute give me more opportunities? And of course, so these are questions that I would want to answer. See, because again of this pandemic, so when we have our managed conclaves, so typically they are just 2 days, any particular weekend, and that's how we do it, perhaps in the month of August. So this time, as we speak, this month of November, this entire weekends, all weekends, apart from the Diwali weekend, we have dedicated that to our management conclave. And I just had the introductory session for a business and entrepreneurship meet this morning. So all weekend, so, the number of interactions have in essence gone up. So that is the point that I would want to underscore. So more number of industry coming on campus, maybe not through the physical format, but on the digital platform. End of the day, students, what will be their takeaway from these? It is about when they listen to the industry people, what is the industry expecting from me when I graduate and step out within the 2 years? And so this is the time frame that the students have, where they have to gear up towards playing that role, towards meeting that particular requirement that the industry stalwarts, the experts, the practitioners, that they're very forthcoming and sharing with the students across these platforms. So these are, the minor value additions that happen at each and every step of a student's life in Kolkata. This is something that is relevant from this particular year. I mean, these were not questions that we thought about in the previous years. So, till a couple of months back, we were only talking about shifting to the online mode. So you have your platforms, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google, all enablers, and you go online. Now we are looking at yet another different platform, which is what we call the blended classrooms. So here, what happens is faculty members, they're going to be in the class teaching to the students who are physically present. And this is going to get live streamed to the students who are outside the classroom. So in essence, it will be a combination of face-to-face interaction, while we are also using the electronic platforms for imparting online education. And this, you need the physical infrastructure. So apart from lecterns, whiteboards, which have already been there in the classes, we have equipped our classrooms with 360-degree cameras and 50 inches monitor screens, microphones. So that for our students, when we are going to shift very shortly into this blended learning platform. And for our hostels, so we have to see the objective here is to ensure safe and secure learning environments without compromising on education quality. So we want to highlight that. So while we want to make the process seamless, it should not be at the cost of health or wellness of our students. Naturally, all our campus protocols that have been designed, the SOPs, they are based entirely on UGC's guidelines, because AICTE guidelines are more or less on the same strands, and of course the state government's requirements. So for hostel, we have done periodic disinfection, sanitization of the entire campus. And that would include the classrooms, the hostel, the open spaces, the library, gyms, lounges. And we have put in places SOPs for restricted entry of visitors in the campus. So it's not, free ingress, outgress anymore. And security measures have been enhanced for that. If the students want amenities, well, we discourage them going out, and we're arranging for contactless delivery counters. Within campus, there will be certain earmarked spaces for that. Students who are going to come into the hostel, we have set up quarantine rooms. And how did we set up quarantine rooms? Because a B school campus has got executive rooms, and we have converted those single rooms with attached bath into quarantine rooms. So for 14 days, they will stay there. And afterwards, there is provision for testing. And there'll be IMI Kolkata's doctor, nurse who are on regular rounds and interact with them. And this provision for testing has come about by getting into tie-up arrangements with hospitals. And should the need arise, emergency situations, we do have protocols in place for isolation, satellite health facility, whatever, should the need arise. So these are some of the, safety protocols that we have taken from our end to ensure that students lead a very healthy, safe, and secure life in the campus premises without compromise. We typically have a tendency to look at the rankings and the numbers, that are headed out by these kind of ranking agencies. So the point here being, typically you're looking at the IIMs and top 10, top 15 B schools, obviously. All B school, all CAT aspirants, or whatever exam, they do aim for these institutions. But having said that, it's not that the other B schools, you should be open to the facilities that are going to be given to you. What are the avenues? What are the opportunities that you have for meeting your career aspirations? And so, if you go by those parameters, it would not be just the top 10 or the top 15 or top 50. You could come look at, perhaps at the top 100 B schools, and all of them are doing relatively good job in the Indian landscape, B school landscape. So my advice would be open-minded. Watch out for the opportunities. And, it's about the courses. Look at the courses. Talk to the students who are already there, the alumni. How does the B school form its course? How does it decide? Are these courses benchmarked with the industry? Are they ratified by industry practitioners periodically every year? Are new courses introduced, in the electives if there is an opportunity that is evident in the industry? So is there sufficient scope? Workshops, so apart from what the B school, the faculty members are teaching, is there sufficient opportunity for these kind of industry workshops where industry practitioners come in and do their certifications? So these would be, some of the parameters by which I would suggest that you can look up these schools. Do your homework, be open-minded, take the opportunities, and be prepared. Because in essence, all said and done, there is no shortcut to success, as well as, there is no substitute to hard work. So you have to gear up to do your best in any given opportunity. Believe in yourself, and I'm sure as students, you will get it. All our faculty members in IMI Kolkata are PhDs. So again, the obvious question is, how does it value add to the B school perspective? So when faculty members are PhDs, they are researching in their areas, and they are working very closely with the industry. So what they take to the classroom is primarily things as and when they are happening in the industry. So when we are writing white papers, I can give you an example. I was doing a white paper from the retail area for, again, the corporates. And so this was sometime in the months of April and May. So when July to September, I was teaching one marketing elective, I could come to the classroom and tell them the supply chain disruptions that were happening and how, the FMCG businesses have absolutely reworked, revamped, and how they're approaching it right in the month of July. So for students to get information, knowledge, concepts as and when they are happening in the industry, it is important for faculty members to be a part of that process, part of that industry, and bring it back to the classrooms. So being researchers, I guess, helps that to a great extent. My advice here would be evaluate yourself, how many gaps you're willing to give yourself across your work experience, across your education, because all these will finally matter when you're sitting for the final interviews with the recruiters. So it should be one complete career scape. And whatever you do, keep that focus in mind. Am I adding to my CV value? Every step that I take, every action that I am making, be it, sitting for an exam or taking a break from work, is it value adding to my CV? So that should be the only focus that you should have. And I'm sure with the prudent decisions, you'll have miles to go in your careers.